What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
Three, two, one. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Harsh Language Podcast. This is episode 93. Dusty, welcome back. Now we're missing Marvin. Audience is going to think I'm like fucking putting you guys in like some sort of prison, or it's like you guys chained up when you misbehave. Yeah. Welcome back.
Yeah. Thanks. How's it been?
Not too bad. We got a good one today. Love Lies Bleeding we're talking about a little bit later. Another A24 banger, might I add. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Got some show stuff to talk about, but how you been? What have you been up to?
Just, busy with work, phone support, and getting ready to move, planning all that stuff out. So, yeah, been busy.
Okay. But everything's good?
Yeah, everything's good.
Cool. I guess before we get into anything, you weren't here last week when we talked about the first Omen. We were all collectively kind of excited about it. Marvin and I were like, a little bit teetering on the edge. I think I know I gave it a 5 because I'm editing the video for it right now.
Yeah.
So it's fresh in my head. Marvin gave it a 6.
Right.
I think we kind of both agreed that like it would have been better had it just not been an Omen prequel, if it was just its own thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a directorial debut, I believe, right? So this is, somebody that maybe it was a passion project, or they just wanted to do it, or maybe, like you said, I think you said like maybe they had a script and they were like, well, we have this IP.
Yeah, kind of like with Night Country.
Do ours. It paid a homage to the original one, obviously, with some scenes in there. I thought it did a pretty good job of building up the tenseness of it.
I agree.
But as an Omen movie, it was just all right. But I wasn't really expecting it to be better than the original. I don't know what I was expecting, but yeah, I mean, it was worth a watch. There was some pretty interesting scenes, but
so you liked it
amazing
overall?
About it? Yeah, I liked it. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd probably give it a 6. Watchable, but
that's fair.
Also a little forgettable.
Yeah, nothing to write home about. That's fair. Okay. You been watching any shows or what?
Mayor of Kingstown.
I haven't started that yet, but I got some funny shit to talk about.
And The Acolyte.
That's where I wanted to go. Have you? I was going to ask you, have you watched The Acolyte?
Yeah, I have actually.
All 3 episodes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we got to talk about it. I wasn't going to watch it because at this point, I've been pretty vocal on the show. I'm just sort of disinterested in Star Wars at this point. I don't think they've really done anything worthy of my attention other than Andor, really.
Sure.
Mandalorian season 1 was fun. It was cool. It was fresh. But it's run its course, I think, for me anyway. I thought Ahsoka was a huge letdown. I think you were even let down by it a little bit, her being your favorite character and all.
No, actually, no. I pretty much overall liked it.
Okay.
It could have been better, for the money they spent on it. That's like The Acolyte, I think. They're spending like $20 million an episode, and the first 3 episodes are
where's the money going? And so
not very good.
So the Andor, I mean, listen, Andor is like in a league of its own. It's not worth comparing it to it. But I simply want to say, Andor's settings, there were multiple settings because that show moves to different locations. They all felt real and vast, and you felt like you were in a galaxy far, far away. Like you felt it, like. From Coruscant to the prison to the fucking just the planet that the prison was on, the forest planet where he met the terrorists or whatever. Like it all just felt like so big and real, and it's because they obviously shot on location a lot of the time.
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed about a lot of these shows, Mandalorian included, Ahsoka, and now this show, the most egregious, they feel so
Downstage green screens.
They feel so fucking small.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
And you could just tell that they're sets.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, where's the fucking money going?
Yeah, I don't know.
But I wasn't going to watch The Acolyte because I wasn't really
Maybe
interested.
Maybe it's all in effects because they're trying to unionize in their CG department, right?
Maybe. But yeah, I was largely disinterested in The Acolyte, not because of the trailer. Like, I thought the trailer was interesting enough. I was just like, I'm starting to get to the point where I think it's okay to not watch all the things. And I think it's something that people struggle with in general because we've been trained by Disney now with Marvel and Star Wars to constantly be keeping up with everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
mean, I've already done that some. You're a little...
I have too.
I mean, yeah.
No, I have too. I've watched every Marvel thing ever. And I
haven't. That's what I'm saying. It's like I didn't watch.
You meant.
I didn't watch Miss Marvel, and I didn't watch the animated show What If.
But you will. You just haven't gotten to it. I feel like.
Maybe.
Like, I feel like at a certain point you're going to watch Miss Marvel because I've told you enough times that it's good enough to watch.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Could be wrong. But.
And Ironheart's coming out. I don't know if I may give it a shot.
Like, I don't care about Ironheart, really. I just truly don't. And I think that's the thing. Like, you have to be comfortable with not watching all the things. And, like, you know, having a vast universe like this, there's like, as a business decision, it's smart of Disney to make things within these universes for vast amounts of audiences, right? Like, Miss Marvel was like a fucking kids show that you would see on, like, Disney back in the day when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Like fucking Hannah Montana or something. A little bit more adult themed than that, but you know what I mean? And that's okay. You know, I'm totally fine. I'm almost a 40-year-old man. Like, there are just some things that are not made for me, whether it be part of my favorite universe or not, and that's fine. I could accept that.
Yeah, but they're not doing very well, so it's like they're not made for anybody except for the people that are making them, and
that's where I was going with this.
That's where people are complaining. It feels, you know, what the complaint from the right is.
Yeah,
you've given the IP to activists, and they're telling the stories they want at the cost of the fans, and then they're blaming the fans for being upset about giving a shit product.
Well, that's where I was going with this. Okay, so I prefaced this by saying I wasn't going to watch The Acolyte. I was watching Landmark the other day. You know, Landmark, the streamer who plays Escape from Tarkov. And I don't know if he woke up that day and decided to choose chaos, but he asked in chat, he's like, is Acolyte as bad as everybody says it is on the internet?
It's bad.
And his chat fucking erupted. And it was like all the typical like incel people that are like, it's woke, it's pandering, it's woke, it's this, it's that, and the other thing. You know how I feel about the word woke. I think it's stupid. And I think you agree with me.
Well,
the way it's used.
Every word we use today is is abused and misused.
So I simply in chat, I didn't even give my opinion about the show because I hadn't watched it yet. And I was just like, I replied to somebody and I was like, man, you're using the word woke, therefore your opinion is like invalidated. Dude, I got direct messaged by like 50 people, and they were all like, you're just a fucking crying liberal, da-da-da-da-da. Somebody unironically said, quote, you don't think woke is a problem? To which I replied, is woke a verb now or a noun? Like, because he used it as a noun, but other people use it as verbs. So I was like, this is crazy. I've like almost all the Disney shows and products at this point have this type of response from that group of people. But I was like, I got to watch the show for myself because I also had heard nothing but bad things about it. So I watched the 3 episodes in one sitting, and man, it is fucking bad. Like, it's fucking bad. And here's the thing. I don't think it's woke the way that they would define it. I think that's just their like default thing to say about something that they don't like. It's bad because the writing is awful. The acting is awful. Yeah. The set design is awful. The story's disinteresting. Like, well, the story's a little bit interesting, but they're not doing it super well.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, listen, the evil twin and good twin has been done to death. I do think it's kind of neat that we're at a time 100 years before Anakin even, and it's like the Jedi have such this because, well, all right, we'll get into the
Yeah, I
nerd
mean,
shit
but
in a
this is
second.
a story that it's like it's unoriginal even
Yeah.
in the Star Wars universe, and because Anakin went to some planet, which obviously this take place after, but
Well,
met some spirits. It was the good
Yeah.
side of the Force, the light side of the Force, the dark side of the Force, and the middle, which was the dad. He had the son and the daughter.
which one was that again?
That was Rebels, I believe. It might have been. No,
Oh, right.
I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah,
if
yeah.
that was Rebels or it was one of the animated ones. But Anakin and Ahsoka went to this, and then Ahsoka actually dies, I think, and the light side sister gave her aura to Ahsoka, and that's like one of the reasons Ahsoka's a badass. But yeah, I don't like. Okay, I mean the. You know, the woke guys are gonna. You got the space lesbians in a cult.
It's a
who
female
created
character.
Some
People
daughters out of the Force using disabusing or abusing the dark side of the Force to create some daughters because they couldn't have them because they're lesbians. But
so so first, before we get into like the nerd lore stuff, I just want to say I don't think it's woke. I don't give a fuck. Like, really? Like, what is woke anyway? I think it's a dumb word. If you want to say it's pandering to a certain audience, maybe. But like I just got finished saying, some things are just not made for you. It's okay that things are made for other people that aren't you. And it's okay to just not watch the thing, right? You could be a huge Star Wars fan and be like, hey, this wasn't made for me. This was made for fucking teenagers or whatever.
There's definitely a rise in instantly blaming it on an ideology that you disagree with because you don't like it, not necessarily just because it can just be bad.
And
it
that's
doesn't have to be because they politically disagree with you. Who fucking cares?
Exactly my point.
But I also get the message of like sometimes it feels like it's getting forced down your throat. I mean, we have seen an incredible rise in like female-led leads where the guys are kind of the bumbling fools. And
well, the same reaction happened from the new Assassin's Creed game where it takes place in feudal Japan. The main character is a black guy, and everybody's like, it's woke, this isn't realistic. But it's like, no, it's actually inspired by an actual black samurai in history who's documented in history. Yasuke, I think, is his name, and he's of African descent. So it's like, you got to just, everybody's got to chill out. But that's besides the point. What I wanted to segue into is exactly what you said. It's okay that things are made for other people. I don't know who this fucking show's made for. Because it's not made for Star Wars fans. That's for sure. Because in 3 episodes, it completely like rewrote like decades worth of lore. Okay? So Star Wars fans are rightfully angry. In this case, I do agree. Normally, I'm like, shut the fuck up, you nerds. Like, it's okay to but this is bad, okay? And it's not made for it's not made for, like, lesbians or fucking trans people or black. Like, it's not made for them either. It's just, there's a vast array of characters. So it's like, it's not pandering to one specific audience member. I don't know who the fuck it's made for. And if I'm being honest, the person who wrote it, the showrunner, Leslie Headland,
yeah.
I like her other movies that she made. She made 2 really fucking funny rom-coms that I like. One was with the fuck is his name? Jason Sudeikis, called Sleeping with Other People. It's with Jason Sudeikis and Alison Brie. And she directed and wrote that. It's one of my favorite rom-coms to date. It's so good. Have you seen it?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. And she also wrote this other movie, not as good. It's called About Last Night.
That sounds familiar.
It's with Kevin Hart and Regina Hall and a bunch of other actors. And it's like a decent rom-com. It's not fantastic, but it's okay. She didn't direct that one. She wrote it. But then she also wrote she was the producer and showrunner for the show Russian Doll on Netflix with Natasha Lyonne, which I don't know if you've watched, but it's a really good show.
Right. I think you could have some hits and misses. I mean, just like you were telling Marvin, like Goyer had some hits.
Well, hang on. So I have a point here. So she knows what she's doing. Like, she's a decent enough writer. I just think in an effort to profit on whatever they can, Disney for all their IPs, are not really putting enough care into who they bring in to write the shit. It's clear watching these first 3 episodes that Leslie Headland is not a Star Wars fan, nor is she somebody who like did any type of research on the lore.
She just wanted to make some sort of story set within the Star Wars universe, and they gave it to her. And she's executive producer, she's writer, she is showrunner. So this is basically whatever she says goes.
Right.
It's her vision.
And there was nobody to quality check her and be like, hey, you're actually on.
Or they did, because I mean, Kathleen Kennedy is pretty much, you know,
I know she's reviled. Yes.
Great. Yeah.
But I don't think she would be in the. Listen, Kathleen Kennedy, like her, love her or hate her, she's a fucking giant in the industry. She's worked with some of the greatest filmmakers of all time. Fucking Steven Spielberg and Lucas and all these people. She's in this position for a reason. That's not to say that she's creatively any good. However, I don't know that she would be in a position to be like, yeah, sure, go ahead and just unwrite years of lore. Like, that's fine. I don't think she's been
in the industry so long that she deserves a position of I don't know,
magnitude.
Yeah, sure, you know, but to run it, I don't know that. I think you need to get somebody in there that's going to be
you need a Kevin Feige
and inventive, and you use her as somebody that you lean on. You need to have somebody in, like, she could be a mentor to whoever's running it. She doesn't. I don't know.
You need a Kevin Feige is what you need. He's the guy that I think.
But he's
infallible.
Feige is losing a little bit of our
but
trust, and even Filoni. I mean, he Mandalorian.
I know
kind of fell downhill and stuff, and we were super excited about all this stuff. So
nobody's
it feels like we're in a wash of mediocrity. But.
Yes, nobody's perfect. Nobody is safe from fucking up. That's for sure. I just don't think Leslie Headland entered this project with enough Star Wars knowledge behind her. It's clear the actors didn't. I'm sure you saw that debacle with the main guy, the Jedi with the braids, the black guy, who is a terrible actor, by the way, but also did you see in that interview where he said that Anakin blew up the Death Star?
No, I didn't.
When they were doing the press tour, that was going around the internet because he said something along the lines. He's like, listen, I know. He's talking about like the impact of Star Wars. And he's like, everybody knows how bad Darth Vader is and that Anakin blew up the Death Star and all this stuff. And it's like, bro. So like, and listen, normally I would be like, okay,
that's
maybe.
Okay. I mean, I don't expect, he isn't normal.
Normally I'd be like, hey, maybe he just slipped up. He's a younger guy. But listen.
It's possible. I mean, he was thinking Skywalker and just spit out the wrong. I do that sometimes.
Of course, it happens. It's just kind of funny. And now, having watched the 3 episodes, it just seems like there wasn't a lot of care taken to be faithful to the lore. That's all. Because in this 3rd episode, you started to describe it with the witches. This is what a lot of the Star Wars nerds are complaining about, is that, as you know, Anakin's birth was sort of an immaculate conception of sorts. It was.
Yeah.
It's been speculated that it was Palpatine experimenting with the dark side of the Force, as did Plagueis.
Palpatine returned.
Yeah. But it was confirmed in one of the video games that Shmi, I forget Anakin's mom's name.
Shmi.
She was just impregnated by the sheer will of the Force. Because of the rise of Vader. I'm sorry, because of the rise of Palpatine, the Force willed her to become pregnant to restore balance.
The dark side was about to become too powerful, and so the light side of the Force had to correct the
itself.
ripple.
Yes. And this is the thing that everybody seems to understand. You and I have even argued about it. And I know there's hundreds of games and movies and alternate books and extended universe stuff that explains what the Force is and this other thing. And like you've argued with me, and now I'm on your side. At the end of the day, it's always been about good and evil. It's as simple as that. That's what George Lucas intended. That's what it always has been. It's what it always will be. The dark side
and a hero's
and the
journey.
light side. And the Force is a whatever you want to call it, an entity, a godlike entity. It's standing for God, whatever you want to call it. It's nature. It's
Just
an energy.
dark matter, basically.
Yeah. But when it's out of balance, it does what it has to do to restore balance. And that's what it did. So Star Wars fans are rightfully annoyed that these witches are able to just impregnate themselves by manipulating the Force, because forget the fact that they're lesbians or whatever. Just anybody being able to do that invalidates Anakin's existence and invalidates the fact that he is the chosen one. Like, he was what the prophecy foretold.
Right.
He's the one who would restore balance to the Force.
Yeah.
And I feel like it doesn't take a lot of research to be like, ooh, wait, we shouldn't do that because of this other thing. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's a bad show. I don't know if I'm gonna hate watch the rest of it or just let it.
But here's the thing. I actually don't hate it. The whole time I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is bad, but it's like, it's not that fucking bad. Like, it's bad. It's bad, but the story to me is actually interesting enough that I sat through the 3 episodes, because I'm like, the whole witch thing was cringe as fuck. That chant that they did, that shit was fucking lame. It was like they were at a Pilates class. But like, I think the whole like twins thing, yes, it's overdone. But
I like the story idea that I liked was that there were some Jedi who did something, and there was an accident, and now like that's an interesting, it's an interesting story that you could have done so much more with.
Well, it's interesting because, sorry to interrupt you, but we're seeing slowly but surely. It started with the prequels. I think it's what George Lucas showcased, but we're starting to see slowly but surely that the Jedi aren't as perfect as everybody was led to believe. Like, as we just said, nobody's perfect, including the Jedi, right? The Jedi failed Anakin more than anybody. You know, Anakin's slip to the dark side is more on the Jedi than it is on Palpatine, in my opinion, because of their crazy archaic rules about love and fucking this, that, and the other thing. Like, so
possessions.
Yeah, I think that's what we're starting to see, and I like that like, oh man, the Jedi's not perfect. Luke's found that out in the new trilogy. Like or hate the new trilogy, I hate him, but that part of it was cool. Luke being like, oh man, everything I was led to believe is like kind of a lie. I want to rewrite this shit my own way. And now Rey's carrying on that Luke's vision or whatever. I also like that we're 100 years in the past, and we're at a point where the Jedi are very powerful. And they're just starting to become the Jedi Council that we see in the prequels, where they're very involved in politics and all this stuff. At this point, where the acolyte...
Well, they're more concerned with politics, rather than doing what's right.
Right. At this point where the acolytes is in history, they're starting to become that. They're not quite there yet, but they're starting to. And I think it's cool that there's like Sith like skulking in the shadows, like doing whatever the fuck we're going to find out in the next couple of episodes. So,
which is another way.
I actually think the show has good bones. I just think it's really poorly executed.
Yeah.
But go ahead, give your final thoughts on it, and we'll move on.
I don't know. There's not much to say. It's weird.
It is very bad.
It's a weird show. I don't know if I'm going to finish or not. But I'm just disappointed, and I was expecting more, and I was let down quite a bit. So.
The thing I'm most let down about is fucking, what's her name? Trinity being in it for like 2 fucking seconds. I thought she was like a main character.
Yeah.
And she was awesome.
No.
That fight scene was sick.
Yeah.
That I will say the fight choreography in the 3 episodes so far has been pretty cool.
Some of it was good. Some of it was all right. I don't know. I mean, they're going to do some cool stuff, I guess, with the lightsaber weapons, but
we'll see.
Teased all that shit in the trailers, but we'll see.
Yeah, so not enjoying it so far. That's fair. But that's all I've watched recently. I just like I had to watch those first 3 episodes because of how visceral people were about it.
Right. Oh, House of the Dragon started last night, so I watched that too.
You see all the promotional stuff they're doing in New York? They hung the flags of the house.
Oh, did they the houses?
The houses on the Brooklyn Bridge. Like massive, like massive flags.
Lannisters,
yeah. And then the other day there was like a huge inflatable dragon wrapped around the top of the Empire State Building. I wonder how much
that's awesome.
HBO's paying for that shit.
Probably quite a bit, but I'm sure they're making
their
money back on it.
But yeah, I haven't watched much else. I mentioned it to Marvin last week. I finally finished the Lord of the Rings with my friend who hadn't seen them.
Nice.
I think she really enjoyed them. We haven't really talked much about them since, but I think she really enjoyed them.
Right.
How could you not, really, you know?
That's a good story. Best.
I'm trying to think. Did I watch anything else? Oh, I talked to Marvin about it. That we watched Bad Times at the El Royale, the three of us, like for no reason other than you guys hadn't seen it.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, did you enjoy that?
Yeah.
I can't believe you, of all people, hadn't seen it.
I know. I was actually surprised because when you first said it and I didn't ring a bell and I looked up, I was like, holy shit, all the people in this. I've never seen this. That's crazy.
Yeah. And you liked it, right?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could see, it's very similar, but also a little bit different from Last Stop in Union County, but
it's definitely different, but it's got that same vibe to it,
same vibe. Sure.
All right, yeah. So let's move on. What do you got for us as far as the news? Let's get into the news.
I got some from since I wasn't here last week.
An old news man.
We'll go through it. James Gunn gave us some updates. I think it was on Threads or something. The Batman 2 script is still being worked on and will be done when Matt Tomlin thinks it's ready. That's still scheduled for, I think, October 2nd, 2026.
Okay.
The Batman 2. And then Casey Bloys, chairman and CEO of HBO and Max Content, said that The Penguin will release after House of the Dragon Season 2 sometime in September.
Okay.
So we got a closer release date. We had fall, now we have September. We still don't have an exact date, but it's coming soon. And then James Gunn gave us some information on Creature Commandos. I think this was an interview with... actually, I don't remember, and I didn't write it down. Sorry about that. But he basically says... the new series picks up directly after our Peacemaker Season 1 finale, which leaves Waller with her hands tied operationally, meaning that she's no longer able to get away with putting human lives on the line to carry out her clandestine, morally questionable mission. Instead, she recruits a ragtag band of misfits not unlike the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. The only difference is that the Creature Commandos roster is made up of actual literal monsters, and I can't wait for you to meet them. Creating this series has been one of the absolute joys of my life.
So Waller's behind it.
Yeah.
Okay.
She had to create she created the Creature Commandos. It's another Waller.
I see.
Thing. So, yeah, that's what we got from James Gunn and the DC universe.
Actually, did you see, I guess not because you didn't mention it, but did you see some of the set photos that came out from Superman?
No, I don't.
It's nothing. No, it's nothing like that. It's nothing spoilery. If anything, it just kind of showcases the aesthetic of what Metropolis is going to look like.
Right.
And it seems like from the set design stuff that I've seen, it looks like he's going with this like retro futuristic style. So it's like kind of like retro 40s and 50s, but like more futuristic.
Back to the original artistic style of Superman, but in the future.
Kind of looks that way, yeah. Almost like Fallout type of stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean trends come back, so that's not unreasonable.
Yeah, what I think is really cool about it. So I'm more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy. Doesn't mean it's not like that. Like I'm in war with the two. It's just I've always gravitated more towards Marvel, mostly because how it's. I think it's gonna sound stupid, but I think Marvel's a little bit more grounded in reality. It's real locations. The heroes are usually the subject of experiments or like accidents and things like that. It seems like Steve Rogers getting a super soldier serum, especially nowadays, seems more in line with like reality than, an alien from a dead planet type of thing. Yeah. Anyhow, the same goes for the locations. Like I like that Marvel takes place in New York City. I like that.
Yeah.
That stuff. However,
it makes it more relatable.
Yeah, for sure. However, what I despise is in the movies when you could tell Gotham City is filmed in Chicago like it was in the Dark Knight trilogy, right?
Right.
Like, it's identifiable as Chicago. In fact, I think we talked about this when we reviewed The Batman. I thought The Batman was a great depiction of Gotham. Because it was filmed in multiple cities, you couldn't really get a grip on where it was filmed.
Yeah, I thought Tim Burton did a pretty good job.
I was just going to say, Tim Burton's Gotham is probably to date the best depiction of Gotham we've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Both Batman and Batman Returns. So I like that. I want Metropolis to be Metropolis. I don't want to see New York City in it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So
but
all
that's
that
going to be tough to do because you're familiar with major metropolitan
Of course.
skylines, and
Yeah.
you can't do that without. I mean, unless you do it all, soundstage, green screen.
Well, all that to say, from the set pictures that I've seen, it seems like he is pulling that off a little bit.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not sure where it's being
right.
filmed. I think it's what the fuck city is it? Is it Cleveland? I can't remember where it's being filmed, but yeah, it looks pretty cool so far. So
okay.
that's all I wanted to say. What else you got for us?
All right. Well, speaking of Disney products, we've talked about some that aren't good or that we don't really want or care to watch.
Yeah.
Well, there is one that was announced in 2019. We still got some bad news.
Everybody's shitting on this Blade.
Will it ever have? Will this movie ever get made, Dan?
I
Talking
don't
about
know.
Blade, for those of you that don't know, because the second director exited, Jan Demange left the project.
Well, the last time you were with us 2 weeks ago, you reported on the fact that Jordan Peele was witnessed meeting with Marvel executives.
Right.
There is now a rumor circulating that he was meeting with Marvel for Blade.
Right.
Which would be
I
sick.
saw that. Yeah, that would be,
There's
Bassam Tariq was the original director that they had that left.
Yeah.
They've gone through about half a dozen writers.
It's weird.
And, I mean, this was supposed to come out November 3rd, 2023. Obviously,
long
the
past
strike,
that.
I think, was part of the reason that got bumped.
And
to
probably COVID.
September 6th, 2024.
What's what I'm trying to say?
Was when it got bumped to November 7th, 2025. Dan, it's the new expected date. But Mahershala Ali, he's in his 50s already, Dan. And this is 5 years old. What are we doing?
Some people are saying that he's to blame. Whether he is or isn't, I don't know.
I mean, there was rumors about how some of the scripts he was unhappy with because he's playing second or third fiddle to other characters, like a replacement daughter or something. Man.
There's just some overall weird.
Made the MCU fans real happy.
The MCU. There's just some weird all around narratives taking place around this.
I agree.
Like I said to somebody on Twitter and I got like fucking attacked by a bunch of people. I was like, are we all forgetting that there was a 3-year pandemic and then a writer's strike? Like most movies that were in production prior to that have not been finished. And everybody's like, well, there was the Batman that came out and this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, sure. There's exceptions, some better than others. But like, you can't discount the fact that like that could have potentially an impact on it. But also, people are like, they've got some weird like conspiracy theories about this movie, it feels like. Like, I saw a whole thread about it that was like, something ain't right. Something's going on over there. Like, what are they talking? Like, I don't know. Nobody said what it is.
I mean, so.
Like, what are they getting at?
Because the interest and popularity for this franchise is so high, you could argue that this is the movie. This is the character that saved fucking Marvel. They were about to go bankrupt. Dan,
oh, you're talking about in history.
And
yes.
They licensed. I mean, this came out in the 90s, and then the Spider-Man, shout out to Tobey Maguire, came out in the early 2000s. That actually kept Marvel alive, and they licensed everything else out, and then got it back together, and we got the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like Blade, how do you like that? Is it's one of the oldest staples of Marvel cinematic history, and you can't fucking figure it out for 5 years how to make it work. I mean, Wesley Snipes chimed in on this.
I know, I saw that. Yeah, and so did
Lordy.
so did what's his name? Who played the villain in the first one?
Oh,
Can't
yeah,
think.
I know who you're talking.
He's been
about.
talking shit about Marvel for like years, though.
Yeah, he has.
But the guy who played Deacon Frost, fuck is his name?
Yes. He's
Steven
a pretty
Dorff.
good actor.
Steven Dorff. Yeah.
Steven Dorff. He's been in some
Yeah.
low budget movies, but he's a pretty good actor.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Walkers make it look easy, don't they? Is what Wesley Snipes said.
I think the initial firing of the writers and all that was because Bob Iger came back and was like, "Hey,
Maybe. Yeah.
we need to focus up here." Fucking so hot.
Well, this is also one that Feige took a look at during the strike, right? And
I think
along with Daredevil, it was Blade and Daredevil because those were both scheduled kind of near similar times. Although Daredevil was close, it was halfway shot through, and so they redid everything. Right? Isn't that what happened?
I think so.
But Blade, he was taking a look at Blade at the same time, and that's kind of when. So yeah, I don't know the COVID and I don't know how much COVID is to blame. I mean, I guess it was 2019. So yeah, COVID happened and then the strike happened. So yeah, but even still, like,
Who knows?
This is Blade. This is gonna get you Deadpool type money.
Well, maybe that's why.
If you don't fuck it up.
But maybe that's why. Maybe it's a good thing. I know it looks bad that they can't get a director and writer and all this stuff to like fucking make the shit. But maybe it's a good thing because maybe they're canning all these people or they're parting ways because the directors and the writers just don't have the vision that Marvel wants for what this is to be. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Or maybe it's woke.
Yeah, who knows?
I think that's the general narrative that I've been seeing is like nobody has said it directly, but it's all this like go woke, go broke, like fucking adjacent theories. Like something's going on over there and it ain't good. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Well, Blade. Hopefully someday they figure it out.
I hope so. Blade's fucking dope.
Yeah. Star Wars Acolyte. We already talked about this earlier. Should have remembered that I had the numbers here. It had 4.8 million views in the first day, and then 11.1 million views in its first week, which made it the most viewed series of 2024 for Disney Plus. Which is kind of sad considering they're hoping these shows are like their most watched series ever when they launch, but they're barely getting the most watched series of the year when they launch these things.
I'm seeing people canceling Disney Plus over this show. At least that's what they're saying. They're like, this is it. This is the last straw.
I canceled a long time ago.
Wow. Yeah.
But we did get some news from Dave Filoni on his new Republic film.
Do you care about that? Because I don't.
Yeah, actually I do. Yeah, okay. I want to see the next season. I want to see him finish this story because I'm so invested in it because I have watched everything.
Yeah.
I watched the Clone Wars and Rebels and all that stuff. So
they're taking advantage.
But he was talking to Happy, Sad, Confused about the film. He said, because I've been writing Ahsoka Season 2, things have clicked, and I have a much better idea about where things are going to go. I have an opening I really like quite a bit. I'm very excited about it for that picture, talking about the movie. I'm excited about the potential of just doing it. Right now, my focus is clearly on Ahsoka, as well as the rest of the galaxy and how it's spinning. Still no date or plot details on that movie. The next Star Wars movie we're actually going to get is Mandalorian Grogu. Arrives May 22nd of 2026. So we're a long ways away from another Star Wars film.
Okay. The longer, the better in my book.
Yeah. And that was, I don't know if it's just my mind being too critical going back to the Acolyte, but I thought it was weird. So we have Ahsoka, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Say her name backwards.
Ahsoka?
It's Akosha.
Akosha, okay.
Right, Akosha. Main character's name in the Acolyte is Osha.
Is it? That's funny. I didn't notice that.
It's Osha.
I didn't even think of that. But Osha's like isn't that like a fucking program? Like a governmental
I don't
program?
know, maybe, but I was just like, oh, her
No,
name's
it is.
OSHA. Why does that sound like a Ahsoka? Oh, because it's Ahsoka backwards. It's a Kosha, or it's just OSHA.
OSHA is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you don't want them coming out to fine you for not wearing your safety harness when you go 3 foot off the ground on your forklift.
Yeah. There's the fucking rub. That's the message.
Anyhow,
I'm just kind of sick of I'm so glad you said it earlier because, not to get political, but like you and I have like kind of different political ideologies. We're not
wildly.
I don't think so.
We see the same on a lot of stuff, but we see wildly different on a lot of stuff too.
You think wildly?
Yes.
I don't think we're that far off personally on most things. I think we're like 95% of the same mindset, I think. Especially like social stuff. I think social issues and things you and I are like 100%.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Really?
No. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I don't think so. I'm all for a voluntary system, Dan. You're for
Well, no,
everybody.
I know, but I'm saying social issues meaning like you don't give a fuck if like, about
non-aggression principle.
You
can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else.
Right.
Do whatever you want to yourself, with yourself, or with any other consenting adults.
Right.
Have fun. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you and I are mostly on the same page with a lot of stuff, the important stuff.
Sure.
But on the things we're apart on, it's a nuanced. Politics is nuanced. We should be able to have differing opinions and talk about them.
And we're
respectfully.
Still friends.
Yeah, of course.
Crazy.
Anyhow, I'm glad you said it because, like, I just feel like just entertainment these days is just dominated by that narrative of like, it's bad because it's woke. It's bad because it's right wing. It's like, no, some things are just fucking bad.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm starting to see the trend here because every time I fucking edit a video, we've talked about whatever it is being like, man, I can't believe this got such good reviews, or man, I can't believe this got such bad reviews. It's always the same fucking thing. And like
it's social media, Dan.
No, I know.
It's the Orville episode.
It's crazy
where they go to the planet and everybody votes.
And like
based on like popularity and shit.
And I keep thinking of that dude that you like, fucking the drunken guy. What the fuck's his name? Woke. Critical drinker or whatever the fuck.
Critical drinker.
I fucking hate that guy, and he's got like over 1 million.
He's got some great points, and he's got some terrible points. He hits some and he misses some, just like everybody.
He just has like over 1 million subscribers, but like most of people go to his channel because he's bitching about wokeness and shit.
Yeah.
Or what he calls the message. And it's like
the message.
Like, man, it's just such like cheap content at this point. I'm so sick of it. Like
I watch about one out of every of his 20 videos because I really don't care what he says. But anytime I watch something, I'm like, man, this is really bad. And Critical Drinker has a video on it. I wonder how bad he's gonna shit on it.
Yeah. Like some things are just bad. You know what I mean? And I'm glad you said it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely.
I feel like things aren't judged on their merits anymore, especially in entertainment. It's either like, it's bad because, and it's like, well, no, that's stupid.
Yeah. Everybody, I don't know. We've become so divisive as a society that we can't just agree to disagree like
well, it's bleeding into everything.
And move on. We have to make our political points out of everything, which is stupid.
And we've joked about it, but like, I think our channel, our podcast, hopefully those that listen enjoy it. We try to frame it as just like friends talking about movies and shows, right? Things we like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, and we're growing at like a pretty steady pace, like decent, modest growth. Nothing crazy.
Organic.
But it's scary how fast that we could grow the channel if we just started making like anti-woke shit. Like, we'd have
the other way around. I mean, we could grift any way we wanted if we just wanted to get clicks and likes and fucking comments. Like, it's easy to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it feels disgusting.
Oh, I would never want to do it. I'm just saying, like, I knew it existed. I knew that's the way it was. But now that we do the thing and I like looking at analytics and like managing videos and like figuring out how to like get engagement and views and stuff. Now I really see like how easy it could be if you just wanted to turn your brain off, make content that you don't give a fuck about, and just call everything woke and bad and this, that. Like we'd have 1 million subscribers by next year, like easily.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think we're in a bad place.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, there's all kinds of examples. Like, I mean, esports even. Like, I co-owner of a combat vet esports organization.
Yep.
And even getting into like veteran nonprofits, like you think, oh yeah, veteran nonprofits, they're all doing great things. There's a lot of veteran nonprofits out there, and they're all fighting for the same dollars, and so it can get kind of seedy and greedy and disgusting in the back end of things.
Yeah,
just because it's human nature.
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't mean to derail the news. What else do we got?
We got Eric Kripke. He went on to Twitter to tell us about The Boys. Are you still watching this at all? You gonna finish it?
I haven't. I'm gonna finish it. I think that show has also run its course a little bit, but I will watch it. I'm gonna let it build up a little bit, I think.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that The Boys season 4 premiere week is a good time to announce that season 5 will be the final season. It was always my plan. I just had to be cagey till I got the final okay from Vought. Thrilled to bring the story to a gory, epic, moist climax.
That's another thing, actually, based on what we were just talking about. All of a sudden, have you watched this first couple episodes or no?
No, not yet.
I haven't either. I've seen some clips, and apparently it's like abundantly clear who the brunt of the joke is now. And they are all unhappy. They're like, what the fuck happened to this show? It went woke, blah, 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 blah. It's like, guys, you were always the brunt of the joke. I hate to tell you. Like, the people who thought Homelander was like you were rooting for him. Like, you're just weird, man. Like,
yeah. He's a narcissistic psychopath.
Yeah. So now they're starting to see. I saw a clip of them they're at this like QAnon fucking meeting or something. It's actually really funny. But yeah.
All right. Well, we got the Alien Romulus trailer. Did you watch that? What'd you think?
Yeah, we talked about it, didn't we?
Yeah. No, that would have been you and Marvin talking about it because.
Oh, I thought you were here for when it came out.
No, we may have talked about it when we were watching the movie, but we don't think we talked about it on the show.
Oh, that's right, because it did come out that day, right? The day that what's his name went live.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah, it looks good. I think Fede Alvarez said this is what you reported on, actually. He said that this takes place between 1 and 2, so instead of picking one to be tonally just make it both.
Right.
Which is interesting because they're two vastly different movies.
Yeah, you get that slow build up, one alien versus multiple aliens in its hide.
Yeah.
In fact, you're gonna have to. It's gonna be weird, but
one's like a horror movie.
Really great credit to the face huggers. Like they're gonna be running around jumping at people, so there's gonna be a lot of jump scares. It looks like.
Like Alien is a straight up horror movie, whereas Aliens is more of like an action movie. So that's interesting. The trailer looked good. The trailer did what it had to do. I think similarly what I talked to Marvin about, and I think that was coincidental because of the first Omen and how we felt about it. But I just wish we were okay with just letting things end. Why do we need more Alien movies?
Because it's people like the lore. I mean, what do you mean? That's why people buy comic books. You buy new Alien comic books, and I actually have some Alien comic books that are pretty good.
It's just that the odds are so low that it's going to be good or worth, you know what I mean?
Well, there's the rub because the IP is good and you could have an amazing film, but the studios usually end up making a shit product because
I think
they have their formula and it's not working for the audience.
I just become less and less engaged with a thing. The more time marches on, the more I hear oh man, we're getting another fucking this or we're getting another that. I'm just all right.
All right.
Well, but we'll see. I'm not excited for it. It looks good. And I'll definitely check it out. So
Well, this may be something you may or may not check out. Our boy Tommy Shelby returns. I don't know if you ever watched the show, but a Peaky Blinders film
Oh yeah,
starring Cillian Murphy is coming to Netflix.
Killian.
Yeah, it seems like Tommy Shelby wasn't finished with me. It's very gratifying to be re-collaborating with Stephen Knight and Tom Harper on the film version of Peaky Blinders. This one is for the fans, says Killian. So yeah, we're getting a movie.
That's cool.
Actually, that's one thing that I did. I have been watching. I restarted watching that. I think I'm up to like season 3 or something because that's a pretty easy watch. They're like 6 or 8 episodes a season.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's one that Nick has tried to get me to watch. I know it's good.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
like what's the Timothy Olyphant television show that HBO did? The guy that cussed all the time.
forget. I didn't watch that either though.
Yeah, Deadwood.
Yeah.
Like Deadwood and Peaky Blinders are definitely must watch.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things I don't know. Never caught my attention. I kind of hate.
It's a timepiece.
You know, I hate those period pieces. I think I watched like a couple episodes and I just like couldn't fucking understand what they were saying, and I was just like, I'm all right. I don't know. I know it's good. I think that could be enough for me, but maybe I'll watch it someday.
Yeah, it's a good show, and like I said, it's a quick watch. So it's like six or 8 episode, seasons, and there's only like 4 or 5 seasons.
Okay.
I don't think there's that long, but yeah.
Maybe I'll watch it when the movie's closer to coming out.
And then I don't know, last week if you and Marvin talked about the Avenger 5 details that were released.
Did not.
Okay, so the details that we have listed here, all rumors, nothing confirmed, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
May feature over 60 MCU characters.
You know what's funny? I'm sorry to cut you off. Speaking of characters and Marvel and Blade, somebody posted a still of the Deadpool trailer, and the Blade from the Blade TV show that existed for like 5 minutes is in the movie. He's like in the background. So that should be awesome. So that'll be funny.
Nice.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. Over 60 MCU characters. This is going to be an ensemble instead of a handful of characters leading the team.
Oh yeah.
Thor, Loki, Hulk, Doctor Strange, Nebula, and Shang-Chi are among the potential characters. Michael Waldron has turned in the latest script. Production is supposed to begin in 2025. Main villain unknown. Sean Levy is their top choice to direct.
Yep.
Marvel is going to meet with other directors while they wait for him to make a decision. Sean Levy already turned down directing it once, but production getting pushed into next year has reopened talks. He was given the latest script last week, so he's going to read it and see. Maybe the timing will work out because they had to push it, or maybe they pushed it so they could try and get him. Who knows? But yeah, that's the Avengers 5 details. A lot of stuff there, but
yeah.
And that's really it. I don't have a crossover this week.
That's okay. Can't win them all.
That's all the news we got.
All right. Thanks so much for the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get into this week's movie. And that is Love Lies Bleeding. So is A24 like even capable? Bless you.
Mm-hmm.
You good? You're focusing.
Yep.
Okay. So is A24 like even capable of making a bad movie at this point? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, certainly.
And this Rose Glass, boy, can she do a psychological thriller or what? This was not the movie I expected it to be. I didn't watch the trailer for this when it came out. I had heard it was good, but I just assumed it was just like some sort of like Thelma and Louise type of deal, which I guess in a way it kind of is.
Yes, a little bit.
But this is a movie that perfectly illustrates like why you shouldn't watch trailers, or why trailers should just be made a little bit more mysteriously rather than like showing the entire movie like most of them do. Because this movie was like significantly better because I went into it really not knowing what to expect.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I love that. That's why I don't watch trailers and I try and avoid spoilers and leaks and stuff.
Yeah.
For a lot of stuff.
But yeah, it turns out this is a pretty standard crime thriller with like a psychological edge to it. And it has mostly great reviews. I heard nothing but good things about it, which is why we're watching it to begin with. But there's some fucking apparently Drax the Destroyers out there who take everything super literally, who apparently couldn't figure out that the ending wasn't literally happening. Like, are we okay? But I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean and they teased this like throughout the movie a little bit, you know, and you're kind of wondering like, okay, wait, is this like, are we supposed to be feeling the effects of the drugs while she's taking them and getting pumped up and getting all fucked out? And and then at the end you get that, which I mean, you add in like the vomit scene. That was like, okay, that makes sense. But then you get into the Hulk out and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, like, it makes sense because I read a little stat recently that 130 million Americans, as of 2019, so it's probably worse now, can only read at the same level as like a 12 to 14-year-old, which is pretty fucking scary. So,
yeah, I think it's going down too.
Probably. But this is the follow-up.
Test scores have only gone down since the creation of the Department of Education. We've only gotten worse since government got involved in schools.
That's fair. So this is the follow-up to Saint Maud by director Rose Glass, writer and director Rose Glass. And this has a stellar cast of Kristen Stewart, Katy O'Brian, Dave Franco, Jena Malone, and Ed Harris, and a couple of others. And this is about...
Yeah, this was one besides Ed Harris, who does a stellar job anyways, like, weren't really seeing the actors. I was seeing the character. Like, Kristen Stewart fucking killed it.
Yep.
But, like, I didn't see her. Like, nope. I saw the character the whole time.
There's one little moment with her that I want to talk about later that I thought was fucking outrageous, but we'll talk about it. I'm just going to take a note, because I forgot to write it down. So this is about a gym manager, Lou, who falls for Jackie, a bodybuilder who's passing through town en route to a competition in Las Vegas. And the two get embroiled in what is a basically local crime syndicate, and some fucking crazy shit happens. Excuse me. Lou is played by Kristen Stewart, and she's sort of like a recluse fucking gym manager, and it's this little bumblefuck town in New Mexico, and she doesn't want to leave town despite her hatred of her father, which is Ed Harris, her mother not being around. She's estranged, but she stays in town because her sister Beth, played by Jena Malone, is in an abusive relationship with her husband JJ, played by Dave Franco, and that's her excuse for staying in this like humdrum broke ass fucking town. And Jackie rolls through, and that's Katy O'Brian's character, and she's just this jacked bodybuilder going to a competition, and the two quickly fall deeply and like madly in love with each other. Mad is like the best word. I've actually never seen a better description of the phrase madly in love than this movie.
Crazy chemistry.
But yeah, I mean, this movie is really a mashup of a lot of other great movies, but it's like I saw like Blood Simple, which is the Coen brothers' first movie, Thelma and Louise, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. Maybe that was just by virtue of being set in New Mexico, but it had like very similar elements, I felt. I think it's really just the depiction of like blue collar, like working class people sort of thrown into like this like fucking crime shit, like double dealings and revenge and sex and drugs. That's sort of how I took it. But yeah, what did you think about this?
I thought it was a great movie. 90% of it was great. I don't think that the Hulk scene at the end was
you're Draxing me. You're Draxing me.
No, I didn't hate it, but from what we had through the whole movie, like up to that point, it was a different, like, and like I said, they teased it where like, she juices up and you kind of see like her muscles doing the whole roidy ragey thing. But then there was, and then there was the vomit scene, but then there was that, like, it felt like it was a completely different movie up until that point. And I get why they did it, but all at the same time, I don't think it necessarily needed to be done. Per se,
that's fair.
Is what
it didn't really actually strike me as that. Like it wasn't that striking to me in terms of like I wasn't like, oh man, this is super out of the blue or not fitting. I think mainly because I was expecting something like it, not exactly what happened, just something.
Yeah.
Because of watching Saint Maud, like. It's a very similar.
And they made it so ridiculous that you had to realize that like this isn't actually happening. Like did. I mean, like, or they should.
Some people think it did.
Realize. Like,
some people think it did. Read
the
reviews.
This isn't actually like. Did she actually throw up?
No.
Fucking Lou.
Well, but that's the thing. This is a more. I don't know. Okay, so interesting. So once again, we see Rose Glass expertly blur the line between what is real and what isn't in this movie.
Yes.
There's a lot of similarities to Saint Maud, and I'm glad we watched Saint Maud recently because it's fresh in my head, as I hope it's fresh in yours too. But mostly when like expressing intense feelings of the characters with these trippy visuals. In Saint Maud, you had the orgasmic interactions with God. Remember those? Like, and her fucking head would stretch and like all that weird shit. And some of the visions that she had when she's like literally talking to God and all this stuff. In this one, we see Jackie's muscles and veins start to like pulsate, like you said, when she gets mad or roid rages or whatever. We see the throw up scene where she throws up a fucking full human being. And then it cuts and it's like, oh no, she actually really just threw up. Like regular good old fashioned throw up.
Partied too hard. Yeah.
And then until she completely hulks the fuck out, like you just mentioned. So I guess I was more prepared for that than most other people. I think it's perfectly valid to not to not like that the way it ended like that. But I guess I kind of just saw where it was going. Now, what is interesting is that
I guess. Just go ahead. Sorry. Why don't you finish?
I'm just not sure if this movie was a more refined version of what Saint Maud was, or if they're kind of just two different things. Because Saint Maud, we ended that conversation, you and I, where you were like, no, I think she like literally was communicating with God. And I was like, nah, she's fucking psychotic. So I think that was the purpose of Saint Maud. But a similar thing was done here. But this movie makes more of an effort to show you that it is actually a delusion, where Saint Maud didn't.
Correct.
Saint Maud left it ambiguous. This is telling you like, no, she's having hallucinations from the steroids that she's doing. But what happened at the end was a shared delusion between the two of them, because Kristen Stewart also sees that she's huge.
Yeah.
And it's meant to, I think, let the audience think either it's a shared delusion because they're like so fucking infatuated with each other and they're both wrapped up in each other's bullshit at this point, and that was like a little representation of that, or the script has now been flipped and we're watching Kristen Stewart's delusion of Jackie rather than Jackie's delusion of herself. One of those two things.
Well, I mean, and Jackie knows she's a monster. She expresses it in the movie. And you're kind of seeing Lou realize this at that moment because, I mean, but she already knew it. But then that's another thing is like you didn't see any sort of transformation when she fucking ripped Franco's jaw.
That was crazy.
Holy shit.
Crazy and unexpected.
That's why I was laughing earlier when you were talking, because you were talking about Franco, and I was just like, God damn, that poor guy.
Dude, Dave Franco, by the way, just can't help but be funny. Even in like a serious role like this where his face
he's
gets...
an asshole, just piece of shit.
But his delivery's so funny. Especially in the restaurant where she like dropped the orange chicken on him and he's like, it's gonna stink. Don't rub my dick in front of everybody. Like it's just his Dave Franco delivery is so fucking funny. He's just a funny guy.
That's pretty funny.
But yeah, that's how I took it. I mean, clearly Jackie is like running from something. Her mom on the phone says, "You're a monster." And then she says to Kristen Stewart later on, like, "I kill people." So it seems like she has a fucking screw
probably
loose.
like her dad was a deadbeat dad or something.
I think because she lost control on Franco. And I think you're supposed to think it's like the roid rage, which very well could be. I took it as that she just has like some sort of like violent past where she like has snapped before.
That's what I'm saying is like, yeah, she could have had a deadbeat dad that she killed, and like she can't go near her family anymore because she did it so violently. Her mom doesn't want her near her siblings.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought the writing in this movie was so fucking tight and good. Like every beat of this movie was just really just perfect. There was one little bit of a gripe that I had, and I think you probably share it with me because it's a very dusty gripe that I have, which I'll talk about in a second. But the writing was great, and there was a moment that I specifically took note about because it was very casual, and I hate movies and shows where they like force exposition onto you, like where you like. I'll never forget. There was a show. I can't remember what it's called. It's with Kevin Bacon, where he's like going after some cult or whatever. He's in the FBI. What the fuck was the name of that show? Can't remember. Anyhow, everybody told me to watch this show. That is so great. First 2 seconds of that show, first episode, he gets a phone call. He's a retired FBI agent. He gets a phone call, and you don't hear the other person on the phone, and it's just him going, "What happened? You know I retired 10 years ago. You know I can't go back to that life." And it's just like exposition just for the like, respect.
That shit sucks.
I hate it.
It's not as bad for me as the forced exposition that the audience already knows that they're explaining to a fucking character in the show. You're like,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, the audience already knows that the guy robbed a bank and we need to go after him. Why are you explaining it to a character? You're wasting time.
Just respect your audience. That's all I want.
Yeah.
But this movie did that, and the thing I took note about is you don't know what time frame this movie is. Like you could guess that it's like late 80s, early 90s, but it's also in some fucking humdrum town in New Mexico. So maybe they're just broken and have old cars and shit.
Right.
But when Dave Franco is talking to Jackie when she first goes to the gun range, very quick and casual, little bit of dialogue. Since Die Hard came out, everybody wants to try the Beretta. That is excellent writing. Because it fits the scene. It tells you the time period we're in. Because Die Hard came out in 1988. We know where we are. We're somewhere in that 88 to 90 something.
Right.
There's some other stuff. I think later on you hear Reagan talking about the Berlin Wall coming down on the radio.
Gorbachev, yeah.
So it puts you more into like the exact time frame. But that's perfect. That's a perfect way to do that. And I loved it. So that was really good. I took a specific note about that. I also love the progression of how Ed Harris's like empire was like slowly unveiled.
Oh yeah.
Because he owns this gun range. And at first it just seems like he's like this local fucking like podunk, like small pond fucking little criminal.
Yeah.
But slowly but surely you realize
he was the leader of the Fast and Furious operation.
Apparently. Slowly but surely you realize that he is not a small-time crook. He's like mad rich and powerful, and he's got like this criminal empire that's bigger than it seems. Matter of fact,
running guns to criminals in the cartel.
He's got a little John Dutton in him because he's dumping bodies off at the train station the same way John Dutton does.
He's got his own hole to put them in, Dan.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The hole.
Oh yeah. So I thought that was really cool. What else? Acting was fucking phenomenal, like we both said. Every single person in this movie was unbelievable. This might be the best role I've ever seen Kristen Stewart in. She gets like, I think, a little bit of slack for kind of being the same character and everything. I thought she was unbelievable in this. The moment that I was talking about towards the end, when she was pinned down by her father, Ed Harris, the dialogue at first glance seems shitty. I forget exactly what she says, but it's like very jarring because it's not like the dialogue in the rest of the movie. And at first I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then I realized, no, she's talking to her father the way a child would.
Oh, right.
It was very childlike dialogue. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah. No, actually, I don't.
You got to.
Well, I know the scene you're talking about when he's on top of her, but I
Yeah.
don't remember the scene insofar as what was said.
I should have taken notes about what she said, but she says something along the lines of like it was like what are you talking about? Like where it was just like very like childlike dialogue. That's the best way I could describe it, but it's because she's reverting to herself as like she's talking to her father. Like even as adults, like I refer to my mom as mommy when I'm like referring to her.
Well, and we don't know how long they've been estranged, so we don't know when the last time was she actually spoke to him, so she could also be.
I thought it was just really well done that like it was just a little thing where it's like at first glance it's like, oh wow, the dialogue here is like really bad compared to the rest of the movie. But no, she reverted to being a child, like talking to her dad.
Right.
So I thought that was really well done. But yeah, all the actors were great. Even Jena Malone, because she wasn't in it that much, but she fucking killed it too. Yeah. Playing like the abused spouse.
Yeah, angry about what happened.
What else do you have to say about this?
I think I'm a fan of Rose Glass. Like you said, I think there's some very, very good detailed stuff that she's done in both of these films that have made me like want to watch more of her stuff.
Totally.
Would I have changed some things about the film? Sure, but I'd say that about every movie I watched. There's a couple things you can always say, I liked it or I didn't. But
do you want to hear what my gripe
overall,
is?
I thought it was great. What?
Do you want to hear what my gripe is?
Oh yeah, what is that?
So when the FBI came into her apartment and she hid the body behind her couch.
Right.
And it's like, I have a couch right here. If there was a body behind it, like it's incredibly obvious that there's a body behind it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
rolled up in a rug.
Yeah, like if a couch is like ajar from the wall, if a couch is ajar from the wall by like several feet, it's weird. And like your cops, first of all. Second of all, like her head was hanging out and he was standing right next to it. There's just no chance in hell that they wouldn't have seen it. That was my only little gripe. I was like, it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah. Hiding it behind. Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe that didn't really happen and she was imagining it all in her head.
Hey, it's possible. But yeah, I thought everything about this movie was excellent. It was just a very simple crime thriller, a very simple story. At the end of the day, I think that, just as Saint Maud explored the depth that people will go to for faith or their faith, this similarly explored the lengths that people will go for love. And I think that's what this movie was about at the end of the day, is just love. Every single character in the movie, in fact, did what they did for love, with the exception of maybe Dave Franco's character, who just was kind of like a general piece of shit, it seems. But if we think about it, Daisy, the chick who was infatuated with Lou, she sort of like blackmailed her into being in a relationship with her, it's alluded to, because she loved and was infatuated with Lou.
Yeah.
Lou was doing all the shit that she did because she loved Jackie. Jackie did what she did because she loved Lou. Beth was so fucking what do they call it? Stockholm syndrome. She was mad that or she was in denial that her husband was beating her because she was desperate for love. And then Ed Harris's character was a criminal because he loved money and power.
Yep.
So love is the central theme of this movie. And I thought that was awesome that every single character has their own version of what they would do for love.
Well, yeah, I mean, we see, I mostly agree with that.
That's how I took it.
Jackie's character is a little more nuanced in that she's seemingly sort of on the run, but also chasing something, in that she's trying to get to this powerlifting competition. So she has this drive, and to not be able to get you see the scene where she talks about the guy. She's like, yeah, I could have, I'm not worried, or I'm not scared of him.
Yeah.
It seems like she wants to not be afraid of men,
mm-hmm.
is what it seems like. So she works to
Yeah,
create this physical
totally.
body that she's created.
Yeah, totally.
So there, what she did with Lou was certainly about love, but her other ambitions, it was about like not being afraid and being able to fight.
Maybe she killed her father.
I think you get. Yeah, that's why I was saying is,
or maybe
that's probably what.
Yeah, maybe she killed somebody who was abusing her.
Yeah, she could have had a deadbeat dad who was beating up on her, and she beat him up and killed him so badly that mom was like, I don't want you near us or your siblings again.
That makes sense.
And now she's on the run, but she's also like in this situation where she doesn't want to be in a situation where she gets beat up anymore. So she becomes this badass bodybuilder. And while she's doing that, she might as well go compete and win some money.
That actually makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised I didn't pick up on that during the movie, because that would also explain why she rages the fuck out and kills James Franco.
Correct.
Because he's an abuser. It wasn't like the movie leads you to believe she's doing it.
I picked it like there's something in her history that made her like.
No, that makes a lot of sense, because the movie
when the innocent are picked on, like she snaps and she's like, I can't, like this can't stand.
Yeah, totally. And she says it with the guy, like I don't like, but yeah, the movie shows it as if she's defending Kristen Stewart, because Kristen Stewart's torn up about her sister, but it could be a little bit of both. You're right. I love it. That's a great point.
When she, Kristen Stewart's reaction when she shoots, what's her name, in the neck, she's all, what the fuck? It's not what it looks like. Like she thought she shot her, because she thought like they were sleeping together. It's like they broke up or something. She's like, what the fuck? It's not what it looks like.
I like the little moment where she threw up Daisy coming up the stairs. And it was to let you know that like Jackie was nearby. Almost like the fucking flotation devices in Jaws to let you know the shark was around.
Right.
It was actually pretty cool. Because she just like randomly throws up and then gets shot in the fucking face.
Right.
Did you think the movie was too gory? I saw a lot of people's comments and reviews saying that it was like very gory, but I didn't think it was really that good. There's like 3 deaths in the movie.
No, I didn't think. I mean, it's bloody, but it's not gory. Like what? One girl got shot in the neck. And people got dumped into the.
I mean, Franco's thing was the worst.
The Dave Franco scene was graphic as fuck. So yeah, I mean that was violent and that was graphic, but gory.
Yeah, but even then, I don't think it was like overly violent.
Like peeling people's skin off and shit.
That's fair. I also took note of one last thing too in the gym. That scene towards the end of the movie where she like Jackie, where she like takes the steroids and goes to the gym by herself. And
training montage.
Kind of, yeah. And she sees a sign on the gym wall that says the body achieves what the mind believes.
Yep.
That basically sums up the whole movie in terms of the like the psychological aspect part of it. Because like same for Saint Maud. Like it's the same. The theme is the same through both movies. Like our minds are so powerful that like they make you believe things that aren't otherwise real.
Yeah. So there's a lot of little play on that too. Like Lou's trying to quit smoking cigarettes, listen to the tapes, and fighting with it through the whole fucking movie.
Right. So yeah, I just Rose Glass, man, she really is good at this psychological thriller shit. Like she's good. She is good. Both of her movies now, bangers. I actually like this better than Saint Maud. What about you?
Oh, that's a tough one. I might actually give it. I would say Saint Maud because I like the supernatural aspect of it more so, but this was a just really great character movie. Overall, I was more, I think, involved with the characters in this one than the first one, but
that's fair. The cinematography in this movie was phenomenal. The setting was great. Like just everything about this movie, I thought was great. The soundtrack was amazing. It's like fucking like cosmic. The soundtrack, it was so good. And that's also how I took the movie too. Is like these two have like this cosmic connection with each other. Like that's why it was so powerful. That's why I do think like what you said about Jackie is very well possible and true. but I also think it was like this cosmic like love connection that they had. It's why it was so intense.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
The movie
Well,
starts.
then that's what life's about. It's about coming into other people's orbits.
Yeah, and that's interesting you say that, because the movie opens with you looking at the night sky, and it's not just the night sky. It's stars, yes, but it's very reminiscent of a famous NASA photo called the Ultra Deep Field, in which every dot and pixel in this still image is a galaxy. So when it opened, I thought it was that. I don't know if that was done purposefully or just my bias, like giving me that idea. But regardless, you're looking at the night sky, and that's like meant to represent what you just said, and connection and all this stuff, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, there's just a love story wrapped in a little bit of a crime thriller with a little bit of a psychological twist to it. I fucking loved it. This shit was so good. I sat through the entire credits just to soak it all in. And I rarely do that.
Nice.
Is there anything else you want to say about it before we wrap it up here?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, great movie. Rose Glass did a good job. So yeah, enjoyed it.
Okay.
What's it rated on the old IMDb's?
It's got a 6.7 on IMDb, which I think is like surprisingly low for the amount of like praise I've heard it getting. It's much higher on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like very fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, 6.7 on IMDb. I'm gonna give it, honestly, this is a 10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10. Holy snikes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I give it a bump. It's a 7 for me, but it's not not perfect, but definitely very good and definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I thought the movie was,
if you don't understand it, maybe sit down and think about it and watch it again.
Listen, I could totally see how this movie wouldn't be for everybody, for sure. But that does not mean that you can't appreciate it for, like I said, the acting, the writing, the cinematography, like all that stuff was great. Like the setting was unbelievable. Like you feel like the desperation that these women have, and just these people in this town. It's like, and I don't know,
the grunginess of this old, like,
not to talk shit, but obviously you and I come from a very different background and location. I'd imagine this type of setting is like very familiar to you.
Yeah, sure.
Like similar, like just that, sort of what we talk about all the time, like fucking Tulsa King and shit. Like,
yeah, small towns with one stop sign in the middle of it, and the population's like 400 people, and they have a general store, and that's it.
Yeah. And like the CDS gym that
a bowling alley and a gym,
and like a shooting range that has a
churches.
Bar. the shooting range with the bar in it that people like hang out at. That was funny to me. Yeah, hilarious.
They still have those.
Let me tell you something too. Ed Harris, man, does he play a good villain?
He does.
Like
he's just a great actor all around. He's been in some banger of movies.
For sure. Yeah, totally. But he was great in this, because you feel his villain presence throughout this whole movie. Right? Yeah. Like, which I thought was awesome. And as he slowly unveiled the fact that, like, man, this fucker owns everything. But yeah, I can't think of a single thing I did not like about this movie. So I got 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wonder what Marvin thinks about it.
Well, I'm curious. But definitely check this out if you haven't. Love Lies Bleeding, phenomenal. If you have seen it, leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about it. Leave a comment anyway. It helps us out. Leave a like on the video. All those good things help out with the algorithm. Dusty, I told Marvin last week, did you know that most of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel? Did you know that?
Yeah. Okay. I did know that. I think the average is about 60% for most channels that are unsubscribed, the people that watch.
Damn, you got fucking receipts. All right, well, there it is, folks.
I just hear everybody else say it. They're like, 60% of my viewers are not subscribed, so I assume we're probably in that same
It's
number.
A shocking stat. So if you're listening, folks, consider subscribing.
Yeah.
Just do it.
You'll get notified for next week. What are we watching?
Us out. I don't know.
The League of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Yes. Week. That is correct.
Good movie. Fun one.
But yeah, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing. If you're a returning customer, you should subscribe. Like, I mean, what are you doing? Make it official.
Go buy a hat.
Yeah, make it Facebook official. You could, on our website, Harshlanguage.tv. Find all of our links, our Twitter, all that good stuff if you're interested. But otherwise, we'll catch you next week, folks. We thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you then.
Hasta.